Hello everybody and welcome back to LMM. And if you're enjoying what you're seeing on the channel at the moment, the links to our social media are coming up on the screen now. Today we have a real treat for you. This thing here is something very exciting. It may be my favourite thing that we're yet to bring and show you on the channel. This is a Leyland Leopard. Isn't it fantastic? Welcome to LMM Drives. There's something rather wonderful about driving something of this vintage about, and something that looks this nice as well. It's fantastic, and everybody looks as we drive about. There are some disadvantages. Number one, there is no power steering, and she's a heavy old bus. I don't half notice it driving around here. The other thing is, it shifts. It sounds good, and it moves. I just think this is absolutely fantastic fun.
So the absolute first thing I want to say about being on here is that it feels like I've been transported into the 70s. This print, it's almost leopard print. It is this close. And being on a leopard bus, I just think that is absolutely wonderful. This genuinely feels like the kind of bus you would have gone on holiday and like toured in. It's spectacular in here. I could see us like driving to the beach and it just, absolutely wonderful.
Now I know it's a reoccurring theme here that I kind of fall in love with everything that we feature on the channel, but this thing is without doubt the most beautiful vehicle I have ever laid my eyes upon. I think it's absolutely gorgeous. I love the colour, I love the chrome, I love the lines. It's just a work of beauty. This thing is more than just a bus that you go and have a ride on. This should be in an art museum. It's absolutely gorgeous.
I dislike how your arms keep pointing towards me instead of the bus when you say that.
This here should be in a museum. We've seen a couple of buses now, and since we did the Olympian, there's several buses have been offered to us, and several things I think, I quite like that and I'd like to feature it. This thing I want this in the shed. I've never had the desire to have a bus quite as much as this. Okay, so it's official, I'm in love. I absolutely 100% adore this for everything about it. Absolutely everything. I love how it looks. I love sitting here. I love the dash in front of me. I love the screen. I love the steering wheel. I love the way it drives. I love the sound it makes. It's just fantastic. I am very much in love. This thing is not going back to the owner. This is coming straight home with me. He's going to have to wrestle me for it. The best thing about trundling around in that is everybody looks. Everybody pays attention to it. Everybody sees it. It's like, that's cool. And that I am really enjoying. People look up and notice it. It's got a real presence. Of course, it is a vehicle that's got a nice chrome strip on the side and it's bright colours. And it's so very different to anything else that you see on the road. And that makes it all the more special. It's not just the way it drives, it's the way that it's such a sensation and it's such an occasion for not just me, but everybody around it. And I basically haven't stopped grinning the entire time I've been driving it. I do like the steering wheel. I love a steering wheel like this, a nice, decent sized steering wheel. It makes me feel like a proper bus driver. Why don't we make vehicles that look and drive like this anymore? I don't want things that you spin around with one finger. I want it like this. I want to feel like you drive it. I want to drive vehicles that feel like you have to drive them, not things that drive themselves. So at the end of the day, you're like, that was an achievement that I got through the day.
So this was delivered new in 1973, and Like I said, it is fairly spectacular. It wore this livery, which was Halifax coaches. However, it never actually got the emblems or anything because it basically got delivered just as they got sold.
And they didn't exist.
Yeah, so this is the livery it would have worn when it was originally delivered, but without all the stickers and emblems.
And so he never actually kind of lived in this livery, so to speak, because the company didn't exist.
Yeah.
But I love the fact they put it back in this livery because
It does suit it.
it wears it beautifully well. And it's one of those things that already just parked up here, people have come and looked at it because it stands out so amazingly well.
I believe it's Plaxton bodywork as well, isn't it?
It is a Leyland Leopard, and the bodywork, is done by Plaxton, which is why it's got this particular shape. Because as with other buses, the company, Leyland, makes the chassis and the steering wheel and the controlling bits in very vague terms, and they send it off to somebody else who puts all this on it. So we should say thank you to Leyland, I suppose, for building the underside, but it's Plaxton that made this absolutely outstanding piece of art. It's got chrome on it, isn't it just gorgeous?
What's up with you and chrome?
Chrome makes everything better. Let us know in the comments, guys, but does chrome make everything better?
This was originally part of a batch of 12 which were delivered to Halifax. Or well, they weren't delivered to Halifax, they were ordered by Halifax. They were delivered to West Yorkshire Passenger Transport Executive, or PTE.
And they were so successful and so light that almost, pretty soon after, a further order for 35 more was put in. It is a wonderful thing, and it comes from that whole age where going on the bus was an occasion. Looking at it, it was an occasion to go on, it was fun.
Feels more like a tour bus than a regular route bus.
Yeah, it looks special. It does. It doesn't look like just a regular old bus. It really, and even then, it was something special. And it was so popular, in fact, that when its time was up,
Well, it went straight into preservation. These single deckers were loved by the crews, and a lot of places ordered them. But this particular one, by the time it finished its service with the PTE, it was someone wanted to save it.
and you might think, well, that's the reason that it looks so stunning, that it's been looked after its whole life.
Not so. You see, in the Boxing Day floods we had here in the UK not too long ago.
2015, I believe.
Yeah, unfortunately this bus was flooded, and not just sat in a puddle. The water came up midway up the windows, so...
Yes, halfway, 7 foot up the side, which, not sure if you're aware of this, guys, but that kind of flooding rather does do kind of quite catastrophic damage to vehicles like this when they find their engine submerged, the entirety of their electrics submerged, and all of this lovely vintage bodywork submerged.
Fortunately, as you can see here now, it was saved, and once again the enthusiasts were able to bring this bus back from the dead, which I think is fantastic.
Yeah, it's a wonderful, wonderful thing. It would have been so tragic to lose it in something like that, but thanks to the hard work of many people, it's back as good as it's ever been.
It has had some other mechanical faults. This particular one has developed somewhat of an appetite for eating compressors.
Yes, and I know the pain of that.
Yes, rather a common thing here on LMM, isn't it?
Well, I suppose, thinking of the compressor, should we have a gander at the engine?
Sure.
Now, I suppose when most people think of a bus, your general idea is, like the Olympian, is in the back.
Yeah, most buses you will see nowadays all have rear engine, and this is more of a coachy thing to have the engine sat somewhere down here.
Which makes, I imagine, maintenance on it a pain.
Yeah, there is actually a floor panel you can use to get into it as well, which isn't too bad, and this is actually a Leyland 680 engine in here. They started replacing the older 600s in around about 71.
Yeah, and so this unit generates about 150 horse, I think.
Yeah, which it might not seem like much, but it actually hauls, what is it, about?
It's just under 8 tonnes, this thing,
Yeah.
so just somewhere between 7.5 and 8 is the official figure I've been given. And with its 45 seats on it, well, it's kind of, that all balances out. It's not a huge, great bus, so that's ample power for what it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's perfectly able to get up to like sensible dual carriageway speeds, which is, I think, pretty much all you need.
Yeah, it's a bus that's kind of usable. There's power there that's usable. It's geared enough to make it usable.
Yeah.
There's some buses and things that are used around the cities, and they just have a city speed because they're never designed to go outside. Whereas this, able to deal with the rural environment.
Speaking of its gearbox, it's not actually a normal gearbox. It's very much like the Olympian we drove.
Yes, it is a semi-automatic, which are wonderful. So there's no clutch. It's put it into gear, take your foot off the brake, a little bit of throttle and a go, and then flick it out, foot off the throttle, change gear, and go. And I believe that it's an art form to get hold of this one, so that's something that I have to look forward to. So, setting off again, it's time to change gear. So, put the gear into neutral, foot off accelerator, drop it down to second, and that was not my smoothest gear change. We'll try again. Foot all the way down, into neutral, foot off throttle, knock it across, into third, and that was beautifully smooth. I could do this for a living. And now, once again, into neutral, foot off throttle, drop it in. It's such a, when you get the gear shift right, it's such an amazingly satisfying thing. It makes me so very, very happy. Now, there is one point to add on to all of this. I am driving this at the moment on some very nice open roads, and I've been driving it throughout the countryside. And I've thoroughly enjoyed this. Trying to navigate this through a town or a city with the very heavy steering, I don't think that I would be quite as enthusiastic as I am now. I think I would be cursing it. And that's not to say that I wouldn't want to give it a go. In fact, even to say I don't want to give it a go. I want to hold on to this. I want to hold on to this joyful experience of hammering around here. I don't think I want to deal with passengers on this, because they would detract from my enjoyment. And I don't think I want to try and fight it on small roads with cars either side and sharp turns, so I have to navigate around bollards and cars parked inconsiderately. That would, yeah, I think that would spoil this. But right now, trundling around here, the sun's come out, it's just, this is a happy machine. It's just, it sounds glorious. This is my level. I don't think I ever wanted to progress any more than this. And in fact, this is something I would quite happily do. Like every weekend, would hop into this and just trundle around the spectacular scenery around here and just enjoy it. But you know what? The visibility up here is superb as well. I love the glass. I love the curved windscreens that come around. In actual fact, having the curved windscreen gives me slightly better visibility coming up to junctions than something that has a flat windscreen, just because I've got that bit down there, that extra little bit of visibility, which is crucial of seeing if someone's coming in towards you at an angle. The A-pillar itself there is fairly small as well. It doesn't feel like it's a huge thing kind of impacting upon my view. You know, it's just, exceedingly pleasant. I could be a bus driver. I could do this. Now, the ride is perhaps a little stiff. We are, after all, still on springs, rather than on, well, the more modern alternative of being on airbags. And yep, I suppose that does make a bit of a difference. I'm not too fussed by this. I'm kind of enjoying it as we bounce across. I'm like, yeah, this is fine. I'm not sure what it's like for, say, Matt as a passenger behind me. I've heard the odd cry of discomfort, which probably means that he's enjoying himself.
Okay, one flaw I am noticing with this bus. This is not like your modern bus on airbag suspension. This is an old-fashioned machine, and airbags are far too complicated for this, so it is on leaf springs all around. And they are fantastic for hauling heavy loads of cargo. But sat back here past the back axle, I am repeatedly leaving my seat by 6 to 8 inches as I bounce up and down. Coming to a set of lights like this is, oh no, I'm getting forward before we go again. Okay. Right, here I might be okay because I'm now on top of the rear axle. So it's a little bit less unsprung than it is back there. Apart from the ride issues, which it's a vehicle from the 70s. We've obviously moved on from them. Being in here is absolutely wonderful. And to be honest, the ride issues are kind of fun as well. It's like a roller coaster on that back seat. And with views like this, I mean, normally I quite like a double decker because you've got that elevated platform, but there's something special about viewing the world through this, and the world viewing you as well, because this is the biggest eye magnet we've driven in recently. It looks so wonderfully vintage outside that I can sit here and watch everyone. They're looking. Is this guy in a guy in a van is looking. He doesn't care about his job, but this has distracted him for the briefest moment. and I think that is absolutely fantastic. The one concern I do have is that I can't see Lawrie up there. Because of that screen, I don't know if he's on his phone again, I don't know if he's mucking about. It's kind of scary just not being able to see forwards quite as much as I normally can, but I'm having a whale of a time back here.
Oh, here we go. Another corner that involves basically a workout just to make it. And now, foot down again. Now, I know most things that I drive put a smile on my face, but this thing particularly puts a massive, great smile on my face. I cannot stress how much I'm enjoying this. If I was going to buy myself a bus, this is what I'd be in the market for. Exactly one of these. I think this is superb. Absolutely, fantastically, wonderfully superb. It just goes, it drives nice. Now, admittedly, parking it, yeah, that's going to be an issue. Once again, the mirrors are a tad small. It seems to be a reoccurring theme on the buses that we feature on the channel, that just maybe their mirrors are a tad small, and maybe it's just me being from an HGV background and I'm used to having a million mirrors, but they may be a tad small, but that's about it. I love the semi-automatic gearbox. I really, really love that. I think it's fantastically good fun. I love the fact that in front of me I've got a temperature gauge to let me know that the engine is happy. I've got a speedo and I've got 2 air tanks, and that is it. I don't even think I've got any warning lights. I think I've probably got a low air buzzer. I haven't heard that yet, but I think I've got one of those, and that's it. And they're all beautifully square, which goes so beautifully with everything else in here being round and smooth. It's just such an extraordinarily pretty thing. I went to look for a clutch there, which I don't have. This is fantastic. This may be my favourite command centre area. I refuse to acknowledge this as a cab. A cab is a standalone place. This is not a cab. This is a driver's area. The exclusive drivers club lounge. That's what I'm calling this. And I love it. It just feels brilliant. The first thing that catches your attention, aside from the massive steering wheel, is this absolutely incredibly beautifully square gauges. I have never encountered a set of gauges like this. They're all square. Just, why is the speedo square? Why is my temperature gauge square? I don't know, but I love it. It's pretty, and that's it. There's a temperature gauge, and there's my air gauges, and there's a speedo. There's nothing else. I mean, what more do I want to know? If there's a problem, the engine will probably get hot. If I lose the brakes, the buzzer will go off, and I'll want to stop if I lose my air. And how fast am I going? Oh, it's fantastic. We don't need more complications. You with your modern cars and your screens in them, you don't need them. You need square gauges. That's all you need. It's fantastic up here. The other thing is, the other bus that I have driven and the other HGVs I've driven generally have a higher windscreen, and I feel slightly restricted with this one coming down there. It doesn't really restrict my vision at all. I'm just kind of used to there being glass up there, but I do love the way it wraps around me. It's absolutely fantastic. I like things like a little mirror here so I can gesture out the window, and I just like sliding open windows like that. I think they're brilliant. So, also got the Leyland logo in the middle of the steering wheel, so it just feels nice and complete. And of course, whilst doing this, I don't have power assisted steering. This is one of the largest vehicles that I've ever driven that doesn't have power assisted steering. And whilst I've gone on about you not needing modern technology under gauges, I'm pretty sure you need it for the steering. Pretty sure this is going to be hard work. But I'm still excited for it. It feels vintage, it feels lovely. So working across, here we have our money changey thing for a ticket. So you'll come along, give me your money, I'll slide it into the drawer here and produce you a ticket for this ride. Down here I have my little thing that opens up the doors, which is quite nice.
And here we have my semi-automatic gearbox selector. My favourite thing is, currently, I can't get it into gear. It's because when you park up, you can lock it out. Twisting it like this, and now freeze it up so I can go back into gear. And then to knock it into reverse, there is a literal locking out mechanism that you pick up and now can drop it in. It's the same as most of your modern cars, but to actually physically be able to see it, I really like. And also, a gearbox so tiny and small for such a big vehicle. I'm used to Jupiter, where you'll crash it forward into first and rake it back into second, and kind of hope that's where the gears are. This one is, that's first. Now we're in second. It's just a lot more refined for a more refined vehicle. I just think that's great. These two little toggles here are for the heaters, but they only work when the engine is running and the dynamo is producing charge. And then we have the multiple controls on the steering column. I twist that way for that way indicator, and I twist that way for that way indicator. I have a horn here, and then I can put on my full beams on the little flicker there. And that concludes the controls on the dash. I have a manual handbrake down here. This isn't an air one, no. Manual, proper ratchet handbrake here. There's this little doodah here. That's the screen wash. That's a push down thing to get the screen wash to work. That's proper old school and wonderful. And then I have a proper airplane style variety of toggle switches down here. Things like the start button, which I need to flick that down to turn the ignition on. My side lights. I can adjust the panel lights. That's how luxury it is. I can see how bright they are. I can turn them up and down. I've got my headlights down here, and then I've got the fog lights on there. So if I want my full beams, I don't flick that up, and I hear the relay engaging. Then the things along here are all things like this in here that turns the lights on, and panel lights along the back. So just multiple lights and things along there. All in, it's absolutely fantastic. I love the seating position. I love my single brake and my accelerator. It's a proper foot pedal as well. My entire foot fits on that. I don't think I've ever been quite as excited to head out on the road in anything before. This is very exciting. Apart from, I have got the panel up there that opens windy things here where I can change the destination. And a sun visor that totally blocks my view. This may be an issue for moving forwards.
And that brings us to the end of this video looking at the Leyland Leopard. And frankly, I have absolutely adored it. I thought I was going to, and I have loved it every bit, maybe more than I thought I was going to. We took it on an amazing road, and I want one. I really, really want one. And do let us know in the comments below if you think I'm right falling in love with a vehicle like this. And with that, a massive thank you to the Town and District Transport Trust for inviting us up here and allowing us to go out on one of the flagships of their fleet. It's a fantastic thing. If you want more information on, then the link to their website is in the video description, and also information on one of the events they run. They do a transport event where several of the buses that they own, including this, will be out for you to see. So I highly recommend that. All the information of that is on their website and in the video description. And with that, guys, I guess that's it. Thank you very much for watching. So I'll open the doors and we'll get out.
Come on.
You know, I kind of really like it. So
Yeah, but we need to. I hate this man.
And if you have enjoyed this video, how about clicking over there for the video we did on the Leyland Olympian? Or maybe somewhere else for one of the other videos we've done on another vehicle. Thanks for watching, guys.